Hello everyone, hi Wastrels, happy holidays, Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. This is the PIPCAST 3000, episode 25, where we talk about gaming news, and gaming in general, and Fallout, and sometimes have a special guest. Not this time though, because I assume people are, doing holiday stuff, because it is late December, it's episode 25, and Christmas is on the 25th, which that worked out neat. Sarge mentioned that. We hope you spend some of your holiday with us, but we're not gonna be mad if you don't, because, there's other cool stuff you can do, like drink eggnog.
No, let's be mad if they don't. It's only the people who are actually here who listen. Tell everyone else we hate them. Woo! It's only you lot listening who matter. Everyone else, screw all of them. You're the best. You right now, you're the best. Everyone else, meh. Who cares about them? You lot.
That's like a mixture of motivational and, angsty. My co-host, BADCompanySarge, everybody. Alright, so we have a lot of news topics to talk about. 2 weeks ago was right before the Game Awards of 2019, so we have a little bit to talk about when it comes to the Game Awards and what happened and the awards that got given out and stuff like that. We talk about new console reveals that were a part of that, a game reveal that I was excited for, talking about the We Happy Few documentary that Gearbox put out, the Fallout 76 player caroling fundraiser that's going to be apparently over.
Yep, we are recording at the time it's going on.
Yeah, when this comes out, but it's still a cool thing. We're going to talk about the new DLC, the new full-length DLC for Borderlands 3, Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot, and we're going to be talking about CD Projekt Red versus I don't know how to say his last name.
Andrzej Sapkowski.
Sapkowski. Okay.
Sapkowski.
Yeah. the author of the Witcher books, and them coming to some sort of agreement finally. And the Witcher. Speaking of the Witcher Netflix series, it started, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit too. Not too much though.
No spoilers.
And we had a nice little bit of brainstorming when it came to Fallout topics, and we landed on factions, favorite factions, underutilized factions, and which faction is best for everyone is going to be our Fallout topic for today. We got, I don't know how long today is going to be, to be honest. I don't know, ballpark, Sarge?
5 hours.
5 hours?
Yep.
Okay. Before we get into the news, though, I want to talk about the tip of the day, which we forgot 2 weeks ago. At the very beginning of the PIPCAST. What's the tip of the day, Sarge?
Check your voice levels whilst in-game, especially if you're in a call with other people you're playing with. Last thing you want is either not to be able to hear the people that you're with at all, or not to be able to hear the game at all, because someone coughs and suddenly your ears explode and it's horrible and there's blood everywhere and God, someone save us! You don't want that. So check your voice audio levels, get them sorted ideally before you jump into combat or something crazy that you're doing, and everything's all good.
Yeah, and like Sarge decided to earlier, because I decided not to mute my mic, which I should have, when I was readjusting the Velcro strips with my wires on the mic arm, and it was going.
Yep.
And that's a bad way to do it. That's not good microphone etiquette.
No. I took my headset off, hung it around my neck, and still could hear.
The important part is I fixed it.
Yes.
My headphone wire is actually long enough to where I'm not gonna bump my mic with it all the time. So, important. It's important to have that stuff all sorted out and whatnot. So, let's get into the news, Sarge. Let's just jump in, head first, and both hands in front. Swan dive into
Scrooge McDucking it.
Scrooge McDuck, because there was a cool reference to that, and I enjoyed it very much.
We'll get to that in about half an hour's time, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
Game Awards. They happened.
They did.
You watched them.
I did. Oh, that means I should probably talk about it, huh?
I mean, I'm happy to just bring my nice rain cloud over it all, and anytime you're happy, I'll just bring the mood down a bit. Yeah. I've actually looked through the Game Awards, and I'm kind of just for all of it. So, let's hear your thoughts.
So, okay, so we'll start with the disappointing thing. Borderlands 3 didn't get any awards.
Yeah, I was annoyed by that.
That's the first thing. I was just like, Borderlands 3 is my game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody else thought that. And I also found out that it wasn't a contender for game of the year anyway, later, which, you know, I thought it was, but it wasn't.
We literally covered it on the PIPCAST, Caedo.
Yeah, we covered it on the PIPCAST, but I didn't remember. I feel dumb. Anyway, the game of the year of 2019 is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, and I think that is still well earned. It's a very well-loved game. As long as it wasn't Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I was pretty much either Sekiro or Control, I think.
Yeah.
With the two, I was like, I'd be happy with either of those winning it. So, I'm fine with Sekiro winning.
Yeah. And Sekiro also got Action Adventure Game, which is the category that Borderlands 3 was in.
Yeah.
And straight action game was Devil May Cry 5, and I think that's well deserved, but that's the only action game. Sorry, I played Metro Exodus also, but that's, I don't know. It's action. It has action in it, but
yeah.
I don't know if I would put it in that category. Anyway, let's see. What are the other interesting audio design? Got Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Got that one.
Yeah, I remember Tony saying that like everything just felt or sounded really good. So
yeah,
that's understandable.
Community support, the game developers for being responsive to their community, and it ended up being Destiny 2, which is a nice thing.
Yeah, it's good.
I was kind of expecting like Final Fantasy 14 because, you know, that whole thing got rebooted because they listened to the community.
Yeah.
But that was several years ago at this point. Let's see.
Then there was just a ton of esports stuff which we don't really care about.
Skipping a lot of the esports stuff, like that doesn't interest me.
Hey,
or
would you believe it? Nintendo won for Family Game. Wow.
Yeah. I believe it.
One of the 5 games they had up as the only people for Family Games, they won. Wow.
Yeah. Death Stranding got game direction, which is pretty good. I'm impressed that Death Stranding wasn't the whole bunch of the awards. I'm glad. I'm also glad. Games for Impact, Grease got that one, which is good. I hear a lot of good things about that one. Disco Elysium got indie game and role-playing game, which makes me want to play it even more, and narrative. Like, it makes me want to play it even more. Yeah. I think Disco Elysium got the most, you know, minus the game of the year thing.
Did really well.
Yeah, I think that's the main stuff. Fortnite got ongoing
Fortnite's
game.
Still big. Who'd have guessed?
Yes. Score and music, Death Stranding got that one because the music is fantastic. Obviously, Beat Saber got VR game.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a contest there, like, at all. If Boneworks had come out, like, because that's one of the big ones right now. If Boneworks had come out earlier this year, I think that would have been a contender, but it wasn't out long enough. Anyway, yeah. So the show itself was okay. There were moments in the show, and a lot of YouTubers already talked about this at length, that there's portions of it, especially a lot of the awards, a lot of the lesser, what they consider lesser awards, were just stated instead of giving them the floor to accept the award and stuff like that. They were just a quick, you know, this is the person for like esports commentator or whatever, and then they just said it and then moved on to the next thing, which I think, and it was a 3-hour. I think it was a 3-hour show. Yeah, it's a 3-hour show. They put the Final Fantasy VII trailer, the new Cloud trailer, in the pre-show, which I thought was interesting. And the show itself, the game of the year, kind of montage thing that they did. I don't have experience from previous Game Awards shows, but I thought they did really well with that, because they had a full orchestra playing the themes of these games as they were going through on screen, which was really cool. They had a full, like, the Game Awards orchestra playing the scores from these games, which is always awesome and gives me chills, especially when I hear the game's themes that I was used to playing. Like, the Outer Worlds was one of the contenders, so as soon as that kicked in, I was just like, oh my god, because the soundtrack of that game is pretty good too. The main theme.
Yeah.
Oh, the last bit. The ones who presented the Game of the Year, Michelle Rodriguez and Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I heard about that.
From the Fast and the Furious. Because they were also promoting their new licensed Fast and the Furious game, which looks bad. I don't have high expectations for licensed games to begin with, but the trailer itself and like the mocha, it all looked like it was created years ago. Like, it does not look modern at all. Yeah. And like the whole trailer was in engine too, so like it looked very much like, you know, cash grab type situation with the Fast and the Furious franchise. I think that franchise needs to just be done.
But Caedo, it makes so much money.
But money, but cars.
Yeah.
I did watch Hobbs and Shaw a little while ago. It was Hobbs and Shaw was actually pretty great. But that's how it ended with the, you know, these two straight celebrities talking about playing video games when they clearly don't, or play very little, because Michelle Rodriguez called Tekken.
Yep, that was a clip I kept seeing.
And it's hilarious, but also there was very little cringe in the Game Awards as a whole, but that was like the finale cringe of like the whole thing. So I don't know. Overall, I did enjoy the Game Awards, but it could have ended stronger. And we can also talk about the two other topics following this, which were also involved in the Game Awards. One big one, Sarge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a new console being revealed. Believe it or not, new consoles come out. Who would have guessed? Wow, we are all so shocked by all of this. What a surprise, etc, etc. Yeah, so Xbox Series X got a reveal trailer. Apparently it's just going to be called Xbox. I've heard some clarification on that where they're like, oh no, it's not Xbox Series X, which everyone was of course shortening to the Sexbox. Instead, it is just going to be called Xbox. So it's like, what do you play? I play Xbox. Which kind of makes sense if like older relatives who aren't into gaming or anything like that and don't understand it all are like, oh, what console should I get you? Oh, well, I'm on the Xbox. And they're like, oh, could I have an Xbox, please? But you get an Xbox from like 10 years ago. It'll work out perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched the trailer just before this, and the visuals and stuff I do quite like. The text over it all, I actually had someone comment that exact text in a random video of mine just the other day, and I assumed they'd been on some substances. Because I can read out the text right now, because out of context, it makes even less sense. Let's suppose that you were able every night to play any game that you wanted to play, and that you could, for example, have the power within one night to play 75 years of time. This is actually slightly changed, because they changed game from dream, which I think it was in the original. Or any length of time you wanted to have. And you would, naturally as you began on this adventure of games, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could conceive. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you would say, well, that was pretty great, but now let's have a surprise. Let's have an experience which isn't under control, where something is going to happen to me that I don't know what it's going to be. And you would dig that and come out and say, wow, that was a close shave, wasn't it? And then you would get more and more adventurous, and you would make further and further of gambles as to what you would dream, and finally you would find where you are now. You would play the game of living the life that you're actually living today, which is slightly different to how the trailer put it, but that's what I got just in my comment section, which was entertaining, I guess.
Only in the context of the trailer does it make the tiniest bit of sense, but it's
I think you're overstating it there.
It's still very... Oh, what do you call that?
I had one word to describe it, which I'm not allowed to say on the PIPCAST.
Very, very philosophical trailery, I guess.
It's not philosophical, it's garbage. It's utter garbage.
It's TED Talk. Freaking.
Yeah. Yep. It's people going on stage thinking they've got something smart to say and then waffling and just expecting a round of applause.
Yeah.
Yep. I do not condone it. It's trash talk.
One of the not as great TED Talks in trailer form for a console. I guess that's the easiest. Because there are good TED Talks. But there's some really bad ones out there too. Anyway, I like to call the new Xbox that they showed the X block.
X block. Yep, that makes sense.
Because it looks like a block. And also, I was very worried that if the vent is on the top of it, you can't put anything on top of it, and you can't put it inside of a shelf either. Which, you could.
I imagine you can put it on its side. I imagine that's still going to be possible.
Oh, yeah, no, okay, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, because they show it as vertical, but nobody uses theirs vertical.
This is a while back, but when I had a PS2, I had mine vertical instead of, like, flat on. And sure, there's possible venting issues, but it's really not that big of a deal. You can make it work. You can turn things over. You can manipulate objects throughout time and space, Caedo. I didn't know you could realise this, but man, I'm going to release my own trailer where I explain being able to manipulate objects and the way physics interacts with the world, and then you wake up one day and you're living the life you are now. Wow. Mind blown, right?
You dreamt of this.
You did.
And then...
You dreamt, and it was more adventurous each time, and now you're living your life now. I really hate the trailer now. I watched it once. First time I watched like half an hour ago, I was like, the visuals are alright, the audio and stuff from there. Now I'm just like, no, screw the trailer, I hate it. It can go away. Something that's actually good, though, before I complain more. There's a new game coming out, Caedo, and it's a sequel to one that you played and really enjoyed.
Yes! Yes! The downside... Well, let's talk about what it is first. The Hellblade 2 trailer, that uses music... I guess it's a collaborative effort, from Heilung, which is they're a very, I don't know, Norse-heavy, authentic band, and it made the trailer that much more, effective.
Best part of the trailer, in my opinion. Freaking love all the chanting.
Yeah, because Senua, if you don't know, Hellblade 2 is the trailer that was shown, and Senua is the main character of the first game as well. And the first game involves getting over the grief of losing her love, basically, and going basically to Hela, the Norse god of death, and bargaining to get her love Dillion back. But in essence, it was just, getting over that grief instead, which is the whole process. And also, she's dealing with psychosis at the same time, which is the big part of the game that players have never been able to fully experience in that way, which is what made it so groundbreaking, on top of its visuals, which are basically live action, like really close.
They are really good visually.
Yeah.
And it's a game with, it doesn't throw a HUD up on screen with information you need to be paying attention to all the time.
Yeah.
Just something I love. Just get rid of HUDs in games, make it work. I'm down for that.
It's like use which button feels right, and the button setup was so simplistic, and like the voices would tell you like what to do, and would react in a way that like if you press the right button, they would tell you, kind of thing. Like it was very cool. The cues in the game were based on the voices that Senua would hear in her head. So like that whole thing, Hellblade's amazing. So I'm really excited for Senua's Saga, which is Hellblade 2, which is by appearance taking on the Northmen, because the Northmen are the ones who killed Dillion. So she's like, okay, revenge. At least that's what the trailer implies. And also fighting a giant, because there's a giant in the trailer.
There's an Earth giant. It's badass.
Yeah. And maybe even having, Pictish or Viking warriors alongside her to help this time too, not just being by herself with herself and her personalities.
Yeah.
And instead having other people in the game. The big thing about this is it's created by Ninja Theory, and they are under the Xbox or the Microsoft banner now with this game. So my concern with it is, am I going to have to get a new console to play it?
Well,
or is it going to be available through the Xbox Game Pass on PC, which, is already a thing.
Yeah.
Kind of hoping that it, is.
It's probably going to be on PC.
But
that makes sense for it to be on PC and Xbox.
I'm really excited for it. highly anticipated game for me for, I think it's next year. It's for next gen, so it might be a launch title.
I'd assume next year.
Did you get a chance to look at the We Happy Few documentary?
Yes, I watched the We Happy Few documentary yesterday, and for a while I was like, why has Caedo sent me this? I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. So basically what the documentary is, for anyone who hasn't seen, are the makers of We Happy Few, who I've forgotten the name of. Who is it, Caedo?
Compulsion Games.
Okay. So, Compulsion Games, makers of We Happy Few, basically have this little documentary where they're talking about the whole development process and how things changed over time. Sorry, I had to burp there. Went from a very small kind of indie game through Kickstarter that was eventually picked up by like Gearbox and Microsoft, and they got tons of funding and stuff and were able to make it, and it changed a lot throughout the process, and it's a nice sneak peek into kind of the background of the game. It doesn't go into too much like technical development stuff. The documentary is much more, here's what we were making in very vague terms, and here's how it changed in very vague terms.
It's less technical and more logistical type stuff, like what they were actually dealing with when they had to both appease backers and like go along with what they promised backers, as well as, you know, make something with a new budget and take those risks while maintaining, you know, what they said they would do, and having some sort of decent game as a result. But the thing that got me the most interested in this documentary was that there didn't seem to be too much general happiness in sharing these things. Like the entire thing to them seemed to be like, this is a struggle all the way through. And not everybody gets to see that side of development of games, or like that attitude when developers are like racking their brains trying to get their game to work when they're doing the Q&A stuff, or if they're supposed to add a particular thing to the game because they said they would, but then they find out that it's not at all possible to do it the way they intended. And seeing that side puts a lot of things in perspective, at least for me, because I'm gonna say that right now, I will never be a game developer.
Did you ever make like games in high school or anything?
I did. I dabbled.
Yeah, there you go. You're a game dev. Perfect. You're done. Sorted.
I was a game dabbler.
Game dabbler. You dabbed those games.
I wouldn't say developer, because you have these game maker programs, of course, like RPG Maker and stuff like that. Like I played around with those quite a bit, but doing the ground up thing, because you would use pre-made assets a lot of the time if you're using tools like that. Whereas
not if you're doing it properly, mate. Come on.
Yeah.
I spent days doing pixel by pixel drawings of all my characters when I made games.
I made sprites too, but there was still
everything.
Like tile sets that I would use from.
Make your own backgrounds. Put the proper work in, Caedo. Suffer like the game devs of real life suffer. It's the only way you know what it's like. It's the only way you get something out of it in school. Otherwise, it's like, oh yeah, I made a platformer because that was already basically coded into the game, and I just drew things, and now it's done. No, you got to do every single part and bleed for your games.
You're gonna be okay.
I legitimately think I do empathise a lot more with game developers, because when I had to like make a video game whilst in high school, I went all out with it. And like every single lunchtime and break time and stuff, I went to the library, went on the computers, like doing all the assets, getting everything to work, testing it, getting my friends to come over and play it, and trying to work out what went wrong. See, okay, I've got to get rid of that thing there, because if I let them have too much freedom in movement, they can actually get past the kill trigger. I did so much of that and really suffered for it, and I think that's actually why I'm like, oh yeah, game developers have it hard. I made garbage. I made utter garbage, and it was a nightmare. These people actually make something amazing, and then you have people online going, oh, I died once when I wasn't supposed to. I hope you're all terrible people, yeah. Carry on, Caedo.
It's important. I think we could circle back to a previous topic. Respect devs is one of the main things. Respect people that are doing their craft to make something for you. Even if it doesn't meet your specific expectations, try to make an effort to appreciate it for what it is. If it's something you're giving the time of day, anyway. If it's something that doesn't interest you at all, don't go out of your way to
why
tell,
are you even
tell
talking
people
about
you're
it?
not. Yeah, don't go out of your way to tell the developers that you don't like it because it's not your thing.
You know what? I haven't talked about the last Barbie game or whatever because it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Not going online, going, oh man, this Barbie game that I've never played sucks. No, why would I? I've never played the game. I don't know what the game is. I don't know nothing about it. I don't care.
The We Happy Few documentary, if you have the chance, anyway, it's about 40 minutes. It's almost 40 minutes long, but if you have the chance, it's on the Gearbox official YouTube channel. We have a link down below if you're interested in seeing that side of development and the struggles that they were dealing with, because there was a lot. There was a lot that they had dealt with and told about. It involved their first game as well.
Yeah.
The stuff that they were talking about, and how harsh they took critique. Because, yeah, an artist of any kind will tell you that criticisms, no matter what, if it's something you made, if it's your baby, it does feel like a personal attack. It's just going to, if it's a critical comment on the thing you created.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It's part of what. Let's do a little history story thing. It's what got me out of drawing and sketching completely. Because I would spend so much time making these things, and most of the people around me didn't care or were judgmental on the fact that I was using graphite and not enough color. And I took a lot of that to heart and decided to move on to something else. Thankfully, the something else was this, and this is going exceptionally well, and I am proud of what I'm doing.
And you've never had a negative comment, so it's all going flawlessly. Not one single one. I want to just say thank you to the entire community who are listening for never, ever saying anything negative.
Thank you,
online.
entire internet.
It's great.
No, I'm fortunate that because of the things that I do, I am getting into the more subjective content, so it's going to change, I'm sure. But because I've been covering all things that are generally useful to people, usually they don't even leave an effort or have an effort to leave a comment. And when they do, it's either I missed something according to them, or they found it useful and are telling me that thank you, or we found it useful, kind of thing. On that note, like, I'm glad that I ended up doing this instead anyway, because I've gained many other skills and also didn't care as much. I learned not to care as much about like the people that are close to me, like family members and stuff like that, that could probably care less about, you know, how everything works, just as long as it makes me money. And they generally leave the whole thing alone. Like they're not interested in it, and that works in my favor, I guess.
I just don't talk to... I'm pretty sure half my family has no idea what I'm doing right now. If they probably assume I'm alive, and that's where it ends. I
mean, that's a good thing on its own. Anyway, check out the documentary.
Well, everyone, now we have a treat for you. In the theme of our next topic, the Fallout 76 player caroling fundraising, Caedo and I are going to serenade you with some Christmas songs.
Are we?
I just wanted to see how you'd react to it. I don't actually know the lyrics to any Christmas songs. I tried singing some yesterday and realised that on the second line I start making things up. So...
Yeah, I don't have any memorized either.
Is Come All Ye Faithful a Christmas song?
Yes.
Yeah, I know 2 lines of that one. Boom! Suck it, everyone.
I do enjoy Christmas music every so often. There's certain songs I will not play, but when I was of all things rewiring my station in my desk, I had 50s Christmas music playing, which was nice.
Very nice. Well, we don't know exactly what songs the Fallout 76 players have been singing, but there's a little Twitch-based comedy troupe they describe themselves as. The Wasteland Estates Homeowners Association have been doing some caroling on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One Fallout 76 areas, where they've been going to people's camps, and for a donation of $10 or more, the group goes to the person's camp and just sings some Christmas carols. Which is, pretty cool, and it's really nice. It's a cool charity event thing going on in 76. It's just a good news story, really. There's not a ton we can say, unfortunately, because as we said at the start, this is actually happening as we're recording, and by the time this comes out, it will have been long over. Yeah. But it's cool. My thing, which I'm wondering about right now, is can they sing?
Like, can they sing together due to latency?
Well, no, just at all.
Or can they sing in general?
Yeah, because
latency was the first thing I thought of, and that's
okay. Well, that's the second option.
That's why people can't sing when they're in like Discord or Skype calls or whatever, because there's latency. Yep. You will never sync up.
No. Like, we have to clap sync at the beginning of every one of these, so that Caedo can kind of stitch it together in the edit. And we're just jabbering on. We don't have to worry about pitch and rhythm and all of that fancy stuff.
Yeah. Most of which I don't have anyway. So.
Right. Oh man, I used to be able to actually sing, and I really miss being able to. It went away, and I'm really sad about that, because it's a fun thing singing.
You could make it like a sideshow thing on your PIPCAST clips if you want to do that.
PIPCAST clips? What, me just belting out some bangers?
Singing some music from the Fallout radio.
I learned, because 76, actually, the 76 radio has some songs I really like. There's the Selling My Soul to the Company Store. I can't remember the lyrics, but that song I love, and I'd sing from time to time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah, they could sing along with the 76 radio. That's got better songs than any Christmas stuff.
Yeah. For sure. Uranium Fever.
Oh yeah, that's a song as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I forget that, because it's an event in game as well.
Yeah. Made for the new Fallout games. I thought that was it made for 76? Or for 4? I don't remember.
Okay, there's a song from 1955 called Uranium Fever.
I could have sworn it was...
Hold up, I'm going to listen to it quickly.
Made or rearranged.
Okay, this is definitely a different song.
Okay.
This is Uranium Fever has gone and got me down, which is not how that one goes. But yeah, Fallout 4... Oh wait, is this Elton Britt? Uranium Fever? Hold up. This is... Because I swear this one isn't in 76, but there is a 76 one. I swear it's different. But the problem is when you type in Uranium Fever Fallout 76... What the... Oh, this is... Caedo. What is going on? But then it's coming up with the Elton Britt song. Okay, today I learned... Wait, but that's in 2015. Wow, okay, so Uranium Fever, the 1955 song, apparently was in Fallout 4. But I swear I've seen or heard a different song that at least mentions Uranium Fever. Maybe it's called something different in 76?
Are you thinking Atom Bomb, baby?
Maybe. I don't know now. I'm just losing my mind.
Because that one, I think that one was made for Fallout. Man. It's been too long.
There's a lot of songs about uranium and stuff in these games, it turns out. But yeah, doesn't look to be a song called Uranium Fever in Fallout 76, what I can find. It was just Fallout 4.
Lame.
Yeah.
It's good to have Fallout jams.
It's
the main thing. Just music in general.
Yeah. I wish I listened to the Appalachia radio more often. Because I find nowadays I'm either on Spotify or recording, which means no music.
I don't know if you're are you in the same boat as me, Sarge? We've talked about this before. I don't know if anybody else...
I don't go on boats, man. Water's dangerous. Stay away from boats.
Yeah, it's true. Okay. Metaphorically.
Okay.
In the same kind of area. I love music. I love listening to music. But because of our situation, we don't get the opportunity to listen to music as much as we would like. Because like during recording and stuff like that, like you can't have music running in the background. To me, like especially with music with lyrics, is distracting if I'm trying to focus on something, like actually focus on something, which sucks.
Okay, I'm a bit different on that because I only have to turn off music whilst recording. I will have a song playing like 100 times over, and I'll be following it along as I'm fully focused on something else. If there's silence, I can't focus and I just go insane. So I actually listen to quite a bit of music whilst editing and stuff. Because if I'm just editing, I can't handle it. It drives me mad. Okay.
Well, we talked about the caroling thing, kind of.
Yep, that's fully covered. Boom, on to the next topic. You know what other game has a lot of murdering?
Yeah.
Borderlands 3.
All kinds of murder.
So many kinds of murder. That's why it was a game of the year. All the different variations of murder. So yeah, a new DLC has come out for it, called Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot.
Well, the Handsome Jackpot is Handsome Jack's casino in space. And Moxie is mad because he basically stole her idea for a casino, for the entire casino. And she's like, I want it back. And you find out context of time in which Jack did die in Borderlands 2. You find the context of, like, in the very beginning of it, that it was 7 years prior of the time you arrive in the Handsome Jackpot, which is really cool. And there are new characters and returning characters in this DLC, which is cool. Characters that are also alluded to in the main game, and you get to actually meet them in this DLC, which is also cool. I don't know how much I want to actually go over with this DLC.
Let's avoid any too specific stuff, but we can say that we played through it together over the course of like 2 days. And it's not like a really long main story, but it's still a decent size.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first paid DLC for the game. They've done tons of free stuff. In fact, so much free stuff that we mentioned this on the previous PIPCAST and weren't sure whether or not there'd been like paid DLC or if this was going to be the first one. Because they just keep throwing stuff at you and they're like, hey, you like the game, right? Here's free stuff. And they're like, oh, here's this one thing you need to pay for, and we're just throwing more money at them, just give us more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because they had the Christmas Mayhem or Holiday Mayhem stuff that they were handing out too.
Oh yeah, they're giving a bunch of free stuff on that as well.
Yeah.
There's so much free stuff.
Yeah. Gearbox is knocking it out of the park right now for taking care of its player base for Borderlands 3.
Yeah. And the amount of like hotfixes and stuff as well, just to solve like any issues that do pop up, is great. Like the most recent one has been like perceived issues as well, where people are thinking things aren't working properly just because it like takes a few seconds of them waiting around, and Gearbox have just like basically reduced the timer so that people don't even mistakenly think something has gone wrong when it hasn't. And it's like, that is not at all necessary, but it's like, no, we want you to feel like everything's going right and not feel bad at all whilst playing the game. Just, we're working on it. It's great.
And their addition, they didn't have to, their addition of particular enemies dropping particular enemies and bosses dropping particular legendaries too.
Yep, that's good.
It used to be only a select few, but now pretty much every legendary has a dedicated drop place.
Which is the way it should be.
I mean, that opens up many different possibilities of me making more videos on said things, but I kind of burnt myself out on it.
Yep. And it means my entire Should You Farm It series is now in the trash. I had some really nice cinematics and stuff of that.
But also, I just want to mention, because it just went up while we're recording, that I did a 5 best shields in Borderlands 3 Caedo's Countdowns.
Ooh.
And I finally motivated myself to do the commentary yesterday. And after that was done, everything else was easy. It's just getting myself to record the voiceover stuff. That's what I struggle with the most still.
Yeah.
Whereas this, since it's, based on an outline, it's really easy to do.
Well, conversation versus script is so different.
That
like,
too.
I can, in a day, I could do like 4 or 5 different like Let's Play recordings where I'm talking for like half an hour, but it just feels like nothing. but then I have a script that's like 5 minutes long, and it takes me like 4 or 5 hours to get through.
I mean,
it's bleh.
Yeah, for me, I'm using the term script loosely because it's definitely just another outline.
No. You don't add in, like, breathe for 2 seconds, say this word for X amount of seconds, and super detail your scripts, man. Come on. What are you doing?
It's actually just... This one in particular is based on, like, stat menus, the clips I have, and a little paragraph of very useful information. The name of the thing, and the location, and the enemy it drops from. Because those are the important parts. And what the item does, obviously.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, anyway, the heist is fun. I enjoyed it. It's definitely got a very cliche heist story. Like,
yeah, you're basically playing through a heist movie.
It's a heist movie. And it's got the whole planning stage thing too, which is really great. And very clever usage of that style of like montage too.
Oh yeah.
Because they're like we're gonna go here and do this, and then it puts you in that position and you go and do it, and then it like teleports you back when you're on to the next stage. Like it's really cool how they did it. And also the tram system in the jackpot, like
as we were playing through, there were 2 things Caedo kept getting far too excited over.
Yeah.
And it was, any time a loading screen was hidden, it was like, oh my god, they're hiding a loading screen, wow! And any time an animation played that was like, just slightly better than average, it was like, oh my god, Sarge, they've done this really cool animation, it's mocapped, wow!
There were moments, yes, I was geeking out pretty hard, because that was my biggest gripe with Borderlands 2. And while they did okay with some of the mocap, a lot of the cutscenes were mocapped in Borderlands 3, but, you know, some of the NPC interactions, like with Tina and stuff like that, were still very clunky. Not as clunky as Borderlands 2, obviously, but still a little bit on the clunk side.
Yeah.
But in this one, in particular spots that I geeked out over, they were very well done. Very, very well mocapped. And I take notice of those kinds of things because, like I said, it was a big gripe for the second game, and I'm glad it's a lot cleaner, more cleanly animated.
Yeah.
To add effect to the characters. Because the characters are part of what makes Borderlands. Oh, also, music is amazing.
As always, yep.
Additional music. I want the soundtrack to Borderlands 3. I hope there's like an all-encompassing one, or they release one soon, because holy crap, the soundtrack for Borderlands 3 is amazing.
Yeah.
And also, what is your overall kind of judgment of the heist of the Handsome Jackpot? Is it a good starting point?
I think it's a good DLC and a good... I think you saying their starting point is very good, because it's not the best Borderlands DLC out there, I'd say.
No.
But it is a good one to kind of kick things off. And it's like, if it was just that, and that was the only DLC, I'd be a bit disappointed. But that to kind of start things off, there's some unique guns in there as well. A lot of the rewards you get are uniques, which is pretty cool. It's a solid DLC, it's plenty of fun. I'll be playing it for all my other characters as well, and I know I'll enjoy myself. Plus, I've got some side missions to do. So there's a decent amount of time in there. I'm not sure how much it costs individually, because we've both done the whole Season Pass thing. But I imagine... I'd say it's a $8 DLC, maybe? I don't know. I'm actually going to check it. That's my estimation, and that's what I think is a solid price for it. Let's take a look.
Oh, gross.
Gross?
I just googled shopping, and it's it's eBay selling legendaries.
Yeah, that's all I'm finding.
No!
Why can I not find... Okay.
Just play the game.
Let's just go to the store and see if it shows it individually there. It's probably just going to say owned, isn't it? Oh, okay, it's £11.99 quid as standard, so 12
Wow, it's not bad.
How many dollars is that? Don't type in quid, Sarge. Pounds, $2. Is 12 is $15. $15-ish.
Alright. That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Still, I thought it was a little cheaper, but I am fine with that.
So,
but it's still reasonable.
So if, like, each DLC, if there's 4 DLCs that come out, for full-fledged ones, because, you know, we're getting, like, the Malawan takedown and stuff like that, I feel like raids are just going to be free.
Yeah.
If they keep going that route. But the, yeah, so I'll round off at, like, $60 total for 4 DLCs. And, this one took us, like, what, 6-7 hours?
Yeah, that seems a rough estimate. I will say we were playing for on Mayhem 3, but we were slaughtering.
Yes. And also, like, skipping a lot of the side quest stuff.
Yeah, we did, like, a couple of side missions on our joint playthrough. So I'd say there's a solid 10-12 hours of content there, maybe. It's not bad at all.
Yeah. I call it worth it. And also, like, the drops. Like, there's reasons to go back.
Oh, yeah, we did farming afterwards as well. And got, like, different legendaries.
With how it is with, you know, Borderlands and looter shooters in general, there is reason to go back and have the DLC to begin with. Because there are some pretty cool legendaries in that one, too.
There's also a bunch of emotes and trinkets and stuff that drop, which I was horrified to learn Caedo doesn't care about trinkets. And, man, when he did that, I shoved a trinket in his face and wobbled it around. It was graphic.
And I was mentioning that it's one more thing my game has to load and I don't feel like it.
Yeah. The trinkets are really well done though. They actually bounce properly and they look cool. I love all that extra stuff. And the fact you don't pay money for the trinkets, it's actually in the game and you earn them. Why wasn't Borderlands 3 Game of the Year? Like, seriously, come on.
This could turn into like an entire Borderlands 3 podcast if we wanted
it
to.
It could. No, we need to talk about the other stuff. Let's draw a line under Borderlands 3 now. We've talked enough about it. If you're a fan of a franchise of a series, we recommend the DLC.
Yes.
Simple as that.
So, CD Projekt Red versus Andrei Sapkowski, which is the... CD Projekt Red is the developer and, I guess, publisher? Or developer of The Witcher games. And Andrei Sapkowski is the author of the Witcher books. And they've consistently been at odds with each other when it comes to the Witcher franchise. Because he, the author, didn't have much faith in the success of the Witcher games. Obviously, The Witcher 3 is one of the best games of the decade. And as, you know, I think it was 2015. Was it 2015?
Sounds about right.
2014. One of those years, it was, I'm pretty sure it was Game of the Year too. So I'll just read it as a quote so I don't, you know, butcher this. CD Projekt, creators of the Witcher series games and upcoming role-playing game Cyberpunk 2077, together with Andrei Sapkowski, author of the Witcher books, would like to inform that today both parties signed an agreement further solidifying their relationship. We've always admired Mr. Andrei Sapkowski's works, a great inspiration for the team here at CD Projekt Red, says Adam Kaczynski, president and joint CEO of CD Projekt. I believe today marks a new stage in our continued relationship. So the agreement satisfies and fully clarifies the needs and expectations of both parties, past and present, and sets out a framework for future cooperation between the two sides.
Hold up. There's a final bit you've left out here, which is the bit that I really clung to, which is the agreement grants CD Projekt new rights, as well as confirms the company's title to The Witcher intellectual property in video games, graphic novels, board games, and merchandise.
Yeah.
That's a big deal there.
Sorry. I was jumping the gun. But the whole reason for this being a problem in the first place was the author didn't have the faith in the franchise, it taking off the way it did. But then got salty when it did and wanted more money because it was like a one-time cost type deal for
the IP.
For the IP, yes, thank you. And now they've CD Projekt Red didn't have to go back and like make any adjustments. They're doing it, to me, they're doing all of this in good faith because I don't know, maybe they wanted more out of the deal. At least that's what the final paragraph says, or final sentence says. So anyway, it's good to hear that they're actually, you know, getting along, quote unquote. This is from the CD Projekt Red website. Man, that's hard to say. And it's linked down below if you're interested in this short little thing that we read out loud.
Now you see, I look at this from a different perspective. Because I hope one day to be a published author. And I've already done some writing-based stuff. So I am curious to see the way you are looking at this versus the way I am looking at this. Because I think this might be something we differ a bit on. Because this, to me, just is warning, warning, warning going around in my head non-stop.
Why do you say that?
Because... So CD Projekt Red have obviously done a lot of stuff with The Witcher, but this guy, Mr. Impossible to Pronounce Name, obviously he wrote these books, and I don't know, maybe he didn't really care for the books that much. Maybe he was just like, I'm just writing this to get a paycheck, whatever. But as someone who has spent a couple of years and got through about 2 chapters, because everything they write, they're like, this is not good enough for the characters I've created, I can kind of sympathise with him a fair bit as to having just other people kind of have their own way with all the stuff you've created. Like, if people made my characters and just went, oh yeah, we're just going to do this random stuff with it, God, it would feel horrible. Like, I couldn't stand it myself. And obviously he has allowed them to make the game and stuff. But
I think it was more like he didn't have faith in the video game medium.
Yeah.
Which is why he agreed to the deal in the first place.
Yeah.
And not seeing the possible outcome being good meant that he didn't have faith in a lot of things at the time. At least that's how it appears to me. 'Cause like we were just talking about, like, creating your own thing. Like, what you create is your child, basically.
Yes.
And he may have been at a point of just needing money or being so jaded on writing in general that he was just like, you know, do whatever you want. Like, I just want this bit of money for whatever reason. Yeah. Like, realizing obviously that was a mistake. But I don't know if the situations would be similar the way you're describing it, because I can see that as a concern.
It makes me worry,
like not wanting somebody to have like the full control over the IP that you initially created.
Yeah.
Because that's scary. They're basically adopting something in they're adopting your kid, and you have no say in how that kid's raised. If we're following the same analogy.
Weird metaphor you kind of dug us into.
My bad. But yeah, we have yet to see, because CD Projekt Red did take up, you know, creating Cyberpunk, which is another franchise that the original creator of that is much more, you know, knowledgeable and believing in the medium of video games. And completely okay with working side by side with them to make something amazing, because I have no doubt that
with Cyberpunk as well, Cyberpunk is much more a world rather than a more personal story, which The Witcher is, because it's about Geralt of Riviera.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference. Like, if someone wanted to make IP in the worlds I've come up with, I'm fine with that. If someone wanted to take Xeno and put him in a story, nuh-uh, you do not. Not allowed to swear on a PIPCAST with him. That is not acceptable.
That's your boy.
Yeah. It's literally my boy. That is not allowed.
Don't ever talk to me, my son, again. Alright. Well, yeah, so I guess, yeah. If anybody in the comment section has more context or, you know, thoughts on the subject of getting paid to have somebody else use your IP or something you created, and then the results not being what you expected or something along those lines. Seeing if we can get some more conversation going on that topic, because it is a good but also very complicated topic, because they've been at odds with each other for years, possibly decades. The Witcher's been a series for a long time, in the game realm too. So
yeah, and obviously we don't have like a behind the scenes peek of it all. We generally just get, well, for the most part, we just get to see what CD Projekt Red and whatever news outlets happen to bring up.
Yeah.
So we're getting like shreds of information here and there on it all, rather than it being just aired in the open.
Yeah, well, I mean, their blog is very vague, but there are like previous agreements that like are complete and able to be read, like legal documents from their interactions. So if you really want to dig that far, like, you can.
I know, but I'm doing after the recording.
So anyway, I think it's enough on that topic. We were talking about The Witcher, though, which is the final news thing.
It is.
Crap. Yeah. So The Witcher Netflix series has just begun, and this series is based on the books more so than the game. And we talked about this quite a few PIPCAST 3000s ago, maybe 3,000 of them ago. And I have not watched it at all yet, because I know that once I start, I'm probably not going to want to stop until like I'm done, like the whole thing. I've watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I have other things that I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna leave that. But we did hear from Eric, one of our mutual fan friends, that it's very good. And right now the critics and like audience are both at odds, because the audience loves it, but the critics don't. Or a lot of the critics don't, which is funny. Because I trust the audience more than I trust, certified critics.
That, to me, the kind of assumption I'd make from that is maybe you need to already know about the world of The Witcher to enjoy it. And if you're not instantly like, oh yeah, I know all about the Northern Realms and the monsters and what witches are, maybe you're not really going to get into it and you need that extra context.
Yeah.
But I could see that possibly being why.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is just a very kind of fan servicey show, which the writing might not be 100%, and there might be some weird camera stuff that doesn't fall too well, but for all of the people who like The Witcher, they're just like, well, it's got all the characters I like, and they're being portrayed well, I'm happy with this. But the critics are like, well, no, on these technical sides, things are going poorly, so I'm going to have to lower it a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still, yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. I still kind of am into what the audience kind of thinks, because
I disagree with both sides. I only care about my opinion. Screw all of you.
Yeah, because the fans of the show are going to be a combination of new people coming in, fans of the games, fans of the books, and fans of both.
Yeah.
But the books and the games are still very different from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's got enough. I think it's got enough variety in people that are interested in it to like show a more fair score, I guess, to me. That's just my opinion, yo.
Okay. Okay.
That's just Caedo's dumb opinion on the internet for everyone to hear. 2019, the last opinion you'll hear.
Sorry.
for the rest of the year. That's all I had to say about it, because like we haven't watched it, so
yeah,
we can't talk about what the actual.
On the bright side, we can't give any spoilers.
Yeah, that's a bright side. Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas we can drop all the spoilers on the Borderlands 3 thing, but we're not gonna.
Yeah, we were good on that.
Okay, so we had 3 topics that we came up with, but we landed on the one, top one, factions. Mm-hmm. Can you take off on this one?
Yeah, well, more specifically, in kind of sort of the interest in time, I figured we start with talking about which faction is best for everyone, he says, air quoting dramatically at the microphone in the hopes it'll be picked up.
Yeah.
Because I see this discussion from time to time, where often... I'm going to actually talk about my faction, which jumps to mind for me, is the Minutemen. Which is a faction where it's like, well, they're pretty good people, they're not harming anyone, and they're just trying to get everyone together. So they're kind of like a best for everyone faction, and it's the kind of more peaceful route in Fallout 4, where you're creating less conflict, and everyone's able to live, pretty much except for the people you kill, but we'll ignore that for the time being. It's kind of looking at the factions which try and just help everyone out, not screw people over too much, and might be best for Wasteland as a whole. But then, with the whole Wasteland as a whole thing, you've got a case of, well, the Minutemen, sure, they're not screwing everyone over, but if you perceive a problem with the Institute, or perceive a problem with the Railroad, or perceive a problem with the Brotherhood of Steel, are they doing enough to stop that? And it gets into a whole complex side of things.
Yeah. When I think the Minutemen, I can't think too much past just them being there as a mechanical scapegoat.
They're just normal people, Caedo. They're normal people. They're not going for these big ideals. They're just trying to get everyone to get along. They're trying to get by. They're living their lives, and they're just rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
And I actually really like the Minutemen, because to me, they seem like the most realistic faction in a Fallout game. And kind of because of that, everyone goes, Minutemen, they're all boring. And I'm like, yeah, have you ever met real people? They're pretty boring. We just kind of go to jobs, like, oh, we got a bit of money, I'm just going to play a video game for a bit. Here's my entire life.
So, let me see if I get this right, and if I can quote it.
Okay.
Sarge likes the Minutemen because they're boring.
Yes. Technically, that is correct. How... It's all these things where you go like, oh man, realism, and this is such a realistic character and stuff, and it's someone like murdering everyone they see. You're like, no, that's not realistic. A realistic character is someone who just kind of gets on with their job, tries to not be too much of a horrible person, and just, gets on with their life until they die. That's realistic. It's not great, it's not amazing, it's not super exciting, and their ideals might not be that crazy, but I feel that the Minutemen are a faction which you don't have to like, but the only reason you hate it is because you'd rather go with the psychotic people who murder an entire species, which is like all of the other factions in Fallout, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. I'll take... It is a curse to live in interesting times. One of my favourite quotes, and often is related to war, and how if you're living in a warscape, you have an interesting and really intricate life story. But if you're living like we are, we've got boring lives.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good for everyone. Like, we get by. We're literally working right now by talking to each other. This isn't like the most interesting thing out there. If someone flicked over to an action movie, they might enjoy this more than the PIPCAST. Please don't do that, we need you to stick around. But I'm just saying, we're not exploding everything in sight right now, we're just chatting. But that's what the Minutemen are. It's just people chatting to each other, getting by. I'm gonna hold up the banner and be the spokesperson for the Minutemen. Be like, yeah, we're not interesting, come join us. You might not die.
So
go Minutemen.
If I were to pick which faction is best for everyone, are we going by like all like the entire franchise, or?
Yeah, we can go through the entire franchise. Minutemen was just like the first one that springs to mind for me. I've got another second one actually, but I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, I liked the origins of some of the factions in 76.
Yeah.
Like the Free States, for example, but obviously pretty much everybody died.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
But this was based on a plague that nobody could take out or deal with alone. And that's, if 76 did anything good, which, it is hard to find for a lot of people.
There's some good things in there.
There's some good things in 76. I will gladly admit that. And one of those things is showing the actual overarching struggle of deciding to isolate yourself from everybody else when you're all facing the same threat.
Yeah.
and the Scorch Plague was that threat, and everybody died out because they were so focused on doing their own thing and dealing with it in their own way. And the main quest takes you through all of these different factions and each of the steps that they manage to get to, and combining all of those things to find out how to combat the Scorch Plague, which is really cool.
It's pretty much cool. Every faction has like their own little thing where they worked out this particular piece of a puzzle, and then you're able to combine them all together.
Yep.
It's nice.
And thankfully, the first faction, what the crap, the Responders.
Yep.
Thankfully, the Responders were the first ones to be inoculated. Otherwise, there would be no story. Yeah. So, free states I found interesting because preppers in the real world, when we're talking about boring people, preppers in the real world seem to be the most prepared. That's their whole thing. For like the end times or the apocalypse or whichever thing they're preparing for.
Yeah.
But I would also say, in a general sense, the Rangers. I love the Rangers faction so much because they are lawful good, in most cases, and they do what they can to take care of others that are on the side of good and trying to just carve out an existence in the Wasteland, as opposed to create more discord, more chaos, as the Raider factions do. And like in Fallout 3, I've been looking through the Fallout 3 strategy guide more often lately. Not just because my power went out, but Riley's Rangers, they were taking on the massive task of imploding the help of the Lone Wanderer to map out the whole region of DC. And that's a massive undertaking, but it's helpful for everyone if that were to happen. And that's their ultimate goal. They're obviously mercenaries on one side, but they're also doing what they can to, map out and find out where the threats are and, work towards eliminating said threats to make the Wasteland a safer place. And
sounds pretty neutral good to me.
That's, neutral good, lawful, neutral, whatever type.
The D&D alignment chart never actually works in real life, or even in video games half the time. It really
doesn't. But I like the Rangers in general as a faction because they've always been a force for good, despite doing some things that require a judgment call and them just picking the least evil of the decisions, kind of thing. And also Wasteland, the Wasteland series is, the main characters are Arizona Rangers,
a squad of Rangers,
and that's where
murdered because your doctor is the one who dies first, and you realise nobody else has the surgeon skill because you made your guy a toaster repairman, and oh dear, you can't do anything other than fire a gun or move free spaces. Wow, that's a smart move, Sarge. Coming Christmas Day, Wasteland 2, Bad Company Sarge. It went horribly wrong.
Did you? Oh, you did.
Yeah!
You played Wasteland 2 also?
I played Wasteland 2. I specifically built a toaster repairman as well. None of that is a lie. That is all seriously what happened.
Why would you do that?
Everything went so badly wrong. My sniper and my bruiser were badass, though. It's like 2 of my squad were amazing gods, and the other 2 were just worthless.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Toaster repair is definitely a secondary skill.
No, I put every point I could into it, and then I think I put the other 2 points I had spare into hard ass, and never spoke to anyone. Oh, it was fun.
I bet it was fun. I will enjoy watching it and seeing your suffering.
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, I would probably go with Rangers or Free States. I think those are the best for everyone type factions to me.
That's fair.
I don't know, a mixture of lawman and jack of all trades type thing.
My next one, which is the second one that I thought of, would be the Followers of the Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they're essentially just like doctors and healers, and they try and help everyone out.
Yeah, when I first thought of the factions subject, I actually went right to the Followers of the Apocalypse. I'm surprised I didn't think about them now.
Yeah. they are just... They help a lot of people out. They also make some decisions where... I can't remember... Who's the people they give the boost to? I can't remember their names.
Atomic Wrangler.
Yeah, it's the Wrangler, the people who own it. Whose names I can't remember. Come on, Caedo, you're the expert. This is what we got you here for.
Huh? Sorry.
Being able to remember names.
The Garrett twins.
Garrett twins, there we go. Yeah, the Followers of Apocalypse also have, like... They don't do anything that's evil, but they make some calls from time to time, like giving the Garrett twins ethanol and stuff, and helping them out, and forming a business relationship with some shifty people in order to kind of get more help for everyone else. They're like, okay, we'll do this thing, which is a bit grey morally, but because we're doing this thing, we can help more. And you can bring the supplies and stuff, and in return they give you supplies, and it's really nice people just trying to help each other out when everything's gone to... Not allowed to swear again on the podcast. So, you know, they're a good faction.
Yeah.
Obviously, they never end up as a main faction, mostly because they are good. Like, the NCR is often thrown up as, like, oh, NCR are kind of like the good ending, but there's a lot of corruption and bad stuff going on within the organisation. And the reason that there has to be corruption and stuff going on is that if the NCR was, like, flawless and everything worked exactly how it was supposed to, it would kind of, like, remove the fun element out of it, because it'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to go with the NCR because I'm not a monster. And then you have to roleplay to go with a different side. But instead, and that's exactly what it would be like if you went with the Followers as a main faction. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to help everyone because that's the right thing to do. So I'd say the Followers of the Apocalypse, in terms of gameplay, they kind of have to stay a small faction, but are a small group of people doing what's best for pretty much anyone they come across. And that's admirable.
Yeah. One of them turned into an evil leader, though.
Yeah.
We can't gloss over that part.
Yeah, we can. We can ignore it. We can just put on our cherry-flavoured glasses, watch it all happen, and be like, oh, this flawless faction where nothing bad has ever emerged, isn't it great?
Yeah. So, Caesar, or Caesar, was a former follower of the Apocalypse.
Yes.
And basically had some sort of... He was inspired to get more things done. He was inspired to be more of a doer than a researcher / scientist. If I'm remembering it correctly. And he ended up, basing his faction, the Legion, off of the Romans. Because they seemed... the Roman Empire, because they seemed to be the most effective in, changing the landscape dramatically, and getting everybody to, fall under the same banner one way or another. A lot of times violently, a lot of times involving slavery, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Bad stuff. But that's the only bad example of the Followers of the Apocalypse that I can think of. Because
one of their members was previously part of the Enclave.
The offspring of...
Yeah.
Someone who was in the Enclave.
Yeah. They've got links to some bad stuff.
He has
but they're not
knowledge.
directly in the bad stuff. Yeah.
He has, and he
gets on very well with all the old Enclave members.
He does.
Yeah. But of course, he's innocent of all crimes. I mean, of course he is.
Yeah, of course.
Why would he have ever done anything wrong? No, of course not. It's not like the player character ever goes, hey, are you like a genocidal maniac? Because, no, don't worry about that. He's a companion. He's probably fine.
Yep. He just does what you tell him.
Yep. I mean, you're the genocidal maniac, if we're being honest, in a Fallout game most of the time, but... It's like, yeah. So, they're tainted, but I'd say they're tainted in the smallest possible way you can be after the apocalypse.
We should say who it is, too, I think.
Oh, okay, Gannon.
Instead of just alluding to it.
Yeah.
Arcade is a descendant of the Enclave.
Yeah.
The West Coast Enclave.
Yeah.
The one on the big oil rig that blew up. Navarro.
Wait.
Because Navarro Enclave soldiers survived, whereas everybody on the oil rig got blown up.
Yep. That makes more sense.
Yeah, sorry.
I was doing some mental gymnastics for a second there after I agreed, going, wait, what's going on there?
And Eddie, your robot companion, is meant to get to Navarro, but never makes it. Which is, a fun little extra that you learn more about in Lonesome Road. So, it all kind of goes full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fall into the Apocalypse, I'd say they're a good faction. I like them. But they, in the Harsh Wastes, they have to like commission mercenaries and hire mercenaries and stuff like that to keep themselves protected. Because they're not fighters themselves. Which basically is what I believe keeps them weak.
Well, that gets into whole, like, pacifism debate. Because it's like, it would be great if everyone in the world was a pacifist. But as soon as one person decides they're not going to be a pacifist, suddenly that person has a way to overpower others.
Yeah.
So being a pacifist might be, like, morally right, but it does put you at a disadvantage. So you have to decide, can you live with that disadvantage? Is it going to go alright? Or are you going to do an Arcade Ganon, go with some lonesome drifter, and murder an entire race of people?
Yeah.
You have to make that call.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, too, that a lot of the canon endings for the Followers of the Apocalypse were, like, not good in New Vegas.
Yeah.
Even though you did good things for them a lot of the time.
I remember a lot of them being kind of like, oh, well, they're alive. Shrug.
Yeah. A lot of times, like, they were getting pushed out of, like, Outer Vegas, and
yeah,
lots of stuff that was not nice to them.
Well, that's unfortunately what happens.
Yep.
You just be the good person, things are a lot tougher, may often end badly. Be the bad guy, things go your own way.
I bet there was...
It's really easy, and people forgive you.
Yeah. I bet there was, like, a spot where the kings would just, like, wipe them out, too.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, because... Oh, God. Man, everyone tries to kill the followers, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm only just remembering all the times they get screwed over in the game.
Yeah.
Wow. Man. Poor followers.
Yeah. They did it a little better in, no, not really in Fallout 4. I'm thinking about, like, now how enemies, how bad guy factions, or, perceived bad factions, or perceived evil factions, don't have quite the personality that you would expect, except for the Fiends. Because the Fiends are just crazy. Like, actually crazy, and the people who voice acted and acted those characters did fine. Motor Runner was on something that was definitely a downer, obviously, when you speak to him. But the rest of them were, like, jittery and stuff. Like,
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever spoken to a Fiend. They always just are on the other end of my scope, and then the head explodes. That's about it.
Didn't you do the drug delivery for the cons?
I might have done it, but like I say, I do generally just wipe them out, because I'm not a faction that's good for everyone. I just murder my way through the games. I'm like, yeah, I could talk to these, but I enjoy shooting, so...
So, I guess, there were some characters, not factions, but some characters in Fallout 4 that definitely, like, put out that evil vibe. Like, Kellogg, for example. Like,
Kellogg's a good guy. I won't have a word to say badly against him.
After you see him at the very beginning or at the end of the prologue,
yeah,
you're just like, oh, this guy's evil. He's even got an evil scar.
He's a professional who just gets the job done.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's all he is.
the prolonged lifespan, I think,
Yeah.
was worse on him.
I'm totally on Team Kellogg.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I just go for all of the factions and characters that people don't like. Like, I'm with the Minutemen, I'm with Kellogg. If they just come up with a dog-kicking faction, I'll inevitably find a way in my head to end up siding with them. I don't know.
I do also tend to like characters that other people that are designed not to be liked, or to not be liked. I kept running into that in the Outer Worlds.
I mean, if you're with the board, that just makes sense. Everyone loves the board.
I was talking about more NPCs than factions.
Oh.
So that's that. we could go for what I was trying to say about factions and characters not acting as evil as they were perceived was the Great Khans.
Okay.
When you go in there, everybody talks to you very like nonchalantly, like regardless of your stance with them, as long as you're not, trying to kill them.
Yeah.
They don't say things that make them seem like an evil faction, and that always put me off in the newer Fallout games. That there's because in the older ones you could put a voice to the text a lot of the time, and the way things were written out, you were like, oh, this guy's being a total a-hole.
Which is everyone, by the way, in the older Fallout games.
Yes.
I played the old Fallout the other day. I went to Shady Sands and was like, hi, I'm really friendly and don't want to hurt you. And they were like, oh, bugger off all you, mate. We hate you already.
Yep.
It's everyone in Fallout.
Yeah, and maybe it's to make each faction approachable to the player character, because like the developers know that the character, the player is going to have to interact with them later again, and not close them off completely as an option or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, just leave the options open for the factions that are actually finished.
That was quite angry.
Sorry. I'm very upset that a Legion playthrough leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah. I think I got halfway through one and then just called it. It's a shame. And then I just murdered the entire Legion, I'm sure, because that's the most fun part of playing New Vegas.
Yeah.
Get a sniper, get Boone, just pick them all off.
Yeah. Boone is an early companion, too, that kind of sets you on that path to just slaughter the Legion regardless. I'm sure that was on purpose.
Quite possibly.
Just to get that, that option off the table as quickly as possible.
Yeah. You do have to work really hard to end up with the Legion.
Yep.
Like, they're slavers, they murder lots of people. You have to go digging to see the good in them. Lots of people want them dead. You're probably going to shoot them on sight. They're the faction that's most likely to attack you straight away.
Yeah.
The deck's really stacked.
Those supply crates, though, man. If you get friendly enough to get those supply drops, like, it's freaking... you get so much... I remember getting something in particular that I couldn't really get. I think it was like 40mm grenades or something. Like, lots of grenades. Anyway, yeah. So, I guess that's kind of the end of the topic, isn't it?
Yeah, we've definitely tangented off of which faction is best for everyone.
Yeah.
But in the comments below, you can let us know which faction you think is best for kind of like the Wasteland as a whole, who does the most good, etc. And please do leave some reasoning as well, because it'd be interesting to see if anyone has like a very in-depth opinion about this.
Like, Rangers has always been my answer to that question. Like, all the way back in the Fallout 3 playthrough, like, I think that was the first time I audibly answered that question, and it's always been the Rangers. I've slowly been coming up with more and more reasons to say the Rangers, but,
Yep.
like, it's kind of always been that, because of, their stance on, slavery, for example, or, like, murdering, just for the sake of murdering.
Yeah. I mean, this is very much which faction is best for everyone, rather than which faction do you personally like.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, with my Minutemen being very boring.
Definitely. Speaking of, like, side factions that you can join too, like, I do want to do an evil playthrough at some point in Fallout 3, because there seems to be a lot more evil things that you can do.
Evil in Fallout 3 is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was my second ever playthrough, and it was so much better than the first.
I don't think I ever... I've nuked Megaton many times, because I like the sweet. But... and then fixed my karma by giving a whole bunch of water. But I don't think I've been evil very often or at all when it came to interacting with Paradise Falls and like doing their stuff.
Oh.
I think I did the Mesmatron thing like once. I blew up one of their heads by accident because it has like that failure chance.
Yep.
Which is hilarious, by the way. But yeah, I think my next Falls replay through, I want to do an evil.
Just get all the bad stuff piled up.
Chem usage. Fallout 4 made me want to use chems.
The chems in Fallout 4 are great.
Yeah.
So much better than the older games.
Definitely. With the what are you playing / working on segment, which is the right before the end kind of thing, we want to know from you in the comments like what you've been playing and or working on and prepping for when it comes to, you know, holiday stuff and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
But also, I think we're just going to go off of like what we've been doing ourselves, like for our channels and whatnot, because I actually have something to share too. But Sarge, what's your thing you've been working with?
Okay, well, I've had a few different things going on. I started just after the last PIPCAST recording, Outer Worlds Realism mode. So if you want to see a little bit of Outer Worlds on Supernova difficulty with no HUD and permadeath, feel free to check that out. I have been covering Fallout 76. I thought I was in a bit of a dry spell for content for it, and then people kept sending me stuff where it's like, hey, you should check this out, and I've just kept having stuff to cover. And coming in the near future will be a little kind of highlight / first look of the Moxie's heist of the Handsome Jackpot, where Caedo and I were playing. I put together a little video, and nice. I also actually made my very first patron-only video with some little clips of an early recording we did of that, which is just a couple of minutes of entertainment that didn't make it to the main one. I haven't actually uploaded it to the Patreon yet.
Oh, okay.
I've got to pop that on soon. And like I've referenced to, I think, earlier in the podcast, I played both Wasteland 2 and the original Fallout, which are going to be my Christmas Eve and Christmas Day videos. So if you fancy watching me play some of that and have things go in one game horribly well when I expect things to go horribly wrong, and the other game horribly wrong when I ensured they would go horribly wrong, then feel free to check those out.
Awesome.
On youtube.com/BADCompanySarge.
Yes.
Should probably mention that.
Yeah, it's linked down below. This is obviously on my channel. But yeah, Sarge's stuff is down below. Sarge makes some really cool stuff. He's in the realm of builds and cool playthroughs and all that neat stuff.
Mm-hmm. And live streams, which is probably happening at the time you're listening to this.
That's right. Live stream today.
Yep. Sunday, 8 p.m. GMT.
Probably 2 hours. I would say 2 hours after the PIPCAST goes up, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sarge is working on quite a bit more things than I usually do at this point. I've slowly been like dialing it back on the stuff that I've been creating because the Outer Worlds and Borderlands 3 kind of burned me out on making these short form guides, like really hard. So I've actually slowed myself down for not just to enjoy the holiday, but also to get myself back in the groove of actually wanting to make stuff, because I got to the point to where I stopped wanting to make things, and that's a bad spot to be in. That's what burnout is. In not so many words, that's what burnout is. But I finally did end up finishing a top 5 shields for Borderlands 3. This is pre-heist DLC. And I didn't get any of the ones from the Malawan takedown. I think I did. I got the snowshoe, which was not that great. So I would like to say that the ones that are listed in the top 5 shields video are still really good. And ones that we've been using pretty consistently, at least the number one. Pretty consistently throughout our playthroughs. So that's something I worked on and would recommend. You can expect more like countdown style videos from me in the future because they're doing so incredibly well. I can't stop at this point. Everything else this past year pales in comparison to these countdown videos, because what I think actually happened, and the YouTube algorithm is a whole beast on its own. It's it's a challenge to be able to guess like what box it puts you in, because from what I can tell now, it does put you in a box. It does put the content you make in a box. And because I had made so many unique guides that are in a list format, maybe it put me in that category without me knowing. So now that I'm making these specifically list-related videos with guide elements to them, I'm just kind of flipping it a little bit. Now that's what's drawing new people to my channel, which means I have to keep doing it. So, and because it's in a list format, it's a little bit easier to do than a full list of items that I have done in the past. Because there was one for Prey in 2017. It took me months to compile a list of chipsets because the strategy guide was garbage. Complete. It is the worst strategy guide I have in my stack. It tells you barely anything you need to know, and it's only got like half information. So when I got it, it's like, it's nice to look at, but there's barely anything of value in the guide itself. You had to discover these things on your own. So when I made the chipsets guide, I was so proud of it, but Prey was one of those pass you by type games. So by the time it was done, there was not nearly enough people to like watch it or be interested in it in the first place. So like going back to doing this, like making short list videos on current games that keep making comebacks, like Borderlands 3 for example, is I think it's a safe bet. And even the Outer Worlds one, this was well after the Outer Worlds came out, and it's still doing, I mean, pretty well, I think.
That's good.
I haven't looked at it since I brought it up. Yeah, 21,000 views. Like, that's way better than any Let's Play.
I can testify to that.
For the past year. Because, yeah, it's well above anything else I've done for a long time. So, yeah. That was a long-winded, kind of ranty thing, but that's what you can expect on my channel, is PIPCAST's Tuesday live streams, but I didn't do one this week because I got lazy, or wasn't feeling it. Oh yeah, the tips and tricks I wish I knew for Phoenix Point 2 went out, and that's gotten a lot of attention. A lot of people correcting me on the sirens thing too, even though that was actually patched in after I made the video, so
yeah,
it's accurate.
That's always great when that happens.
Which is great. I thought that part was hilarious.
I had a part of that with I made a 76 video before the 76 release, where everyone was going crazy about the Brotherhood being mentioned in 76, and I did a ton of research to work out the fact that it would be possible for them to literally go to the location. There's nothing in the lore that contradicts it. And then it was something like 20 minutes or something, I think, before the video went live, Bethesda published a thing saying, hey, here's how the Brotherhood's in the game. And it was completely different than these months of work I'd done. It was horrible.
Dang it.
And like, that was the first 20 odd comments were just like, hey, Bethesda have already solved this. Why are you so wrong? Why don't you pay attention? I'm like, I made this.
That's upsetting. I'm sorry. This portion ended up being longer.
Yeah, it did.
Than it had, but it's good. It's good. We're talking about the things that we're creating and doing, as opposed to just the things we're playing. Because it's a lot of the time it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Tell us in the comments what you've been doing, planning on doing, playing, creating, all that good stuff. And that's it. That's it for PIPCAST 25.
Woo!
I think. We hope you have a good holiday, depending on what you're celebrating. It could be Kwanzaa, it could be Christmas, it could be Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating or have celebrated. I hope it's gone well or is going well, and down some eggnog or something festive for me. How about that? Or one for your homies, whatever.
Wow. Let's just call it.
Yep.
Caedo just said one for my homies. We're ending it. As PIPCAST over forever. I don't think we can go on after that. Goodbye, everyone.
Take care of yourselves.
We appreciate it.
I'm gonna go drink some mead.